part 6 of how my baby passed away at 7 weeks old. So, like I said, that was the 17th going into the 18th. They called me on the 17th and they were just like, Mom, we're just going to give you an update. Like, she's not doing good. She has congestive heart failure, all types of stuff. Pretty much telling me that my baby is like dying right now. And I'm just like, what the fuck? So I'm like, what the fuck? Like I said, she went from a CPAP machine to they having to intubate her, like, so that she could breathe. Like, I remember right before they intubated her, like, she could barely breathe. Like, she was like so hard. Like, the CPAP machine was not working, so they had to give her a tube down her throat. So I'm just like, oh my God, like, how the fuck is this happening? So that Vanessa doctor who assessed her before I was discharged, she was like, we did everything that we can. Like, they gave her different PICC lines and stuff like that. But they're like, you pretty much got two options. Like, we could either find her a hospital who could better deal with her, or just pretty much let her die. And I'm just like, don't piss me off. Like, whatever the fuck we gotta do. So they was like, okay, if you could get to the hospital as soon as possible so you can sign the paperwork, we're gonna, find a hospital for her that's better. So at first they kept telling me about Bellevue, and I'm just like, that's so deep. But then they was just like, oh, they have a spot for her in Montefiore, and I'm just like, perfect. That's where my baby's supposed to be any fucking way. But due to me being high risk and stuff, I didn't stay with my PCP. So, like I said, my mom lived near Lincoln Hospital, so I flew there, signed the paperwork, everything. I watched them intubate my baby and everything. I watched them give her all these different PICC lines and stuff like that. So this is her transport to Montefiore. Like, that's the lady. She got a whole chart and everything over here. Like, my baby just wasn't doing good. Like, she was gray. She started losing color, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, my baby is gonna fucking die. So I'm stressed out. Like, I'm completely stressed. And I'm just like with her the whole way. Like, they let me ride in the ambulance and everything. Like, this is when she got to the new hospital, like, this is her transport machine. And they was like, she did relatively well. Like, she was all right. It was like literally as soon as she left the hospital, she stabilized. And I was like, it's that fucking hospital. I don't care. I don't believe in like superstition and stuff like that, but I just felt like that wasn't a good environment for my baby from jump. So like, this is around the time I started blaming myself. Like, damn, I should have just stayed with Montefiore. Like, high risk or not, I should have just went to all those different buildings. Like, because I felt like this wouldn't happen if she was at Montefiore. But hey, I feel like nothing doesn't happen without a reason, and it's not for me to question it. But I was just like, ugh. But she was doing really good. Like, once we got out the hospital, lady was like, yeah, once we got onto the ambulance, like, because I rode in the front of the ambulance with the other EMT who was driving. And then she had the whole team in the back with her. So it was like, yeah, she did really well. Like, she was like, as soon as she left out the hospital, like, she stabilized. And like I said, it was that fucking hospital. So fast forward, we're at Montefiore Cham. This is the Children's Hospital and Medical Center. They sent my baby out. Look at that. They made a little sign for her. I just love the sign. I still have the sign till today. So they had her together, and this I really appreciated, because when she went to Montefiore, I was able to be in the room with her. Like, she wasn't isolated. They just made me put on PPP, like PPE. Lord, need some money. They just made me put on the PPE gloves and stuff like that. And they was like, well, you could touch her and stuff like that. Just don't kiss her in her face. So I was just like, okay, but I ain't listen. I fucking kiss my baby in the face. That's my child. If I get COVID, so what? That's my baby. Like, as soon as she got here, like I said, she did really well. This is the 18th, because I stayed like until they got her in her room and got her hooked up and stuff like that. And I wound up coming back the next, later on that day. Like, my baby started opening up her eyes. She was doing really well. She was a little crusty here, don't do my child. But you see, she got the little heart on her head. Like, that had lost color. Like, you couldn't even see that. When she was in Lincoln, like, you couldn't even see it no more. Like, it was just, like, completely white. Like, she just looked pale and gray. But she got her little color, like, literally within hours of her being at Montefiore. Like, she got her color back. She was opening her eyes. Look at those eyes. And you can see the heart on her head. And I was just like, she's a special baby. Everybody at Montefiore who dealt with my baby was just in love with her. And everybody grew a liking to my baby too. Like, honestly, you know how people, you think they just telling you shit just to, oh, your mom and stuff like that, your family, so we gonna tell you things to make you feel better. No. When I say these folks really fucked with my baby, they fucked with her. And when she passed away, it was a bad day for everybody. Like, she had her whole team in there, like, but we gonna get there. So this is another day. I had to get glammed and bammed because, like, I was so depressed. I was just like, I can't look like what I'm going through. So I had to get my eyebrows and all that, do my little swoopy doop, do my hair and everything. Because at this moment, she was doing she was doing relatively well. Like, she still had COVID, but she was no longer viral, so she couldn't give it to people. So like, they just made me dress up in this shit. And after a while, I started to ditch this shit because I was just like, I don't give a fuck. But she was doing good. She got a little teddy bear and everything, like chilling. She was doing pretty good. Like, her stats was good, her heart rate was good, everything. Like, it was even at some, it was even at some point where she would like breathe on her own, and like she would knock the machine out because she was trying to breathe on her own. So it just proved like, she was trying to be strong. But like I said, Chelsea was a medical anomaly, and nobody knew what she was capable of doing until the day it came, and we see how she's progressing and stuff like that. Like, Chelsea was truly a situation where it was like, we have to see like day by day like what this baby do. Like, we had meetings for her every single day. But her being able to sustain her sugar levels and stuff like that was still an issue. The bed that she had was called a giraffe, so it had like a little heating thing over it because she couldn't stabilize her body temperature still. But that was like a trait of trisomy 13. Like, those babies really can't regulate their own sugar, and they can't regulate their body temperature. But again, still doing relatively well. So the doctors updated me. I remember Dr. Ray, shout out to him, an Asian doctor. He came in, he was like, so what do you know about baby? So I'm telling him, I'm like, oh, they told me, she got COVID, she got congestive heart failure, just this, So they was like, okay, so yeah, no, that's not. So he was like, a lot of the information that you got from Lincoln was conflicting with what Chelsea is actually going through. So I'm like, all right, put me on. So they like, I don't know what they told you, but she doesn't have congestive heart failure, because they were telling me, oh, her heart was like 50%, like her heart was only working at half mass. And I'm just like, he was like, that's not true. He was like, her heart was working about 85 to 90%. Her heart is okay. But with COVID, something I didn't mention in the beginning is, when all babies are born, we all born with PDA. It's basically a small hole in your heart. Until you're born, and then like a few hours after you're born, it closes up. With babies with trisomy 13, it doesn't close. So she had this issue, like, that was the thing that they saw with her heart when I was pregnant with her. But again, in the beginning, it wasn't exasperated, so it was fine. But then when she caught COVID, it like made the hole bigger. So something else that we was faced with was not only getting, like, so COVID didn't kill nobody. COVID never kills anyone. But it's the damages that COVID causes. So she ended up developing pulmonary hypertension, was because the hole in her heart grew in size. The blood would flush back into her lungs from her heart. So instead of it going from her lungs to her heart and going throughout the rest of the body, it would go back into her lungs. So she would have this sense of she was drowning all the time. So they kept her heavily sedated for the most part. Sometimes they would let her wake up, but then a lot of times it was just like, it was too painful for her to be awake. So it was just like, no. And a lot of times they would have to give her give her dialectic. So it was just like issue, like they had to dry her out. But then, because they wanted her heart to be able to, her lungs to be able to be dry. But with that, they would dehydrate her, so they would have to give her fluids, like diuretics and stuff like that. And then she would have like edema, like she would swell up. So this is a picture right here where she was like pretty swollen. That's because of the diuretics and stuff that they was giving her to keep her hydrated. It was like this consistent battle that we had with her. Like, we need to dry her out, but we need to keep her hydrated. We need to dry her out, but we need to keep her hydrated and stuff like that. So, here she got plump. And as you can see, she has like this yellow substance around her mouth. And I was asking them, like, what the hell is that? Because they had to give her a feeding tube after a while, because once they intubated her, they can't feed her regular no more. So she got a feeding tube going from her mouth till they had to put it in her nose. So I'm like, she started throwing up this yellowish green substance, and I'm like, what the hell is that? So I'm asking, and they was like, oh, we don't know what it is, stuff like that. But I feel like they gave her substantial care when it came to Montefiore. So I was just like, what is this? Like, what's going on? So they would give her tests. They would give her daily x-rays and stuff like that, just to make sure that her intubation was intact and it hadn't moved and stuff like that, and she was okay. But like I said, it was that substance, and I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. But still, day by day, we just had to see what Chelsea could do. So it finally came down to it where they let me know. They were like, oh, her belly started to extend. And I'm like, what's wrong with her stomach? So they was like, oh, we got to give her a catheter, because whatever's happening inside of her belly, like to make her belly extend, it's blocking her bladder. So they had to give her a catheter so that she could pee. But come back for part 7. Part 7 of how my baby passed away at 7 weeks old. So they gave her the catheter, the Foley catheter, so that she could be able to pee or whatever. And that was pretty much it. Like, we went back to the situation with her heart, like, because we wanted to resolve the issue with the pulmonary hypertension. But they started running tests for her stomach to see, like, why is her belly extending like that? Like, what's going on? Because I kept questioning them about, like, why is this, like, secretion coming out of her tube like that? It would go into her, it would back into her, like, her feeding tube, it would come out of her mouth. And then, like, I'm just like, what is this? So they did tests or whatever, and then they found out that she actually developed something called necrotizing enterocolitis. So if you know what necrotizing enterocolitis is, it's pretty much a flesh-eating intestinal disease. So what happens is part of the intestines die out for whatever reason. I know it happened because they began formula feeding her. Like, she couldn't eat regularly, so with everything that was going on with her system and her having trisomy and stuff like that, it made her more susceptible to developing necrotizing enterocolitis. Just like how everything just, the sequence of events is how it went. Like, she ended up developing that. So they told me in order to correct this issue, what they would have to do is just go through her navel, bring out her intestines, and cut out the part that was dead, because there's no reversing it. Once that part of the intestine dies out, you have to get rid of it, because if left untreated, it's deadly. So they was explaining to me it's a procedure where they're gonna pull her intestines through her navel, cut out that part, get rid of it, and leave those two ends of the intestines extended outside of her body for a period of time until she healed, just still so she could defecate or whatever, like into a colostomy bag, pretty much. But because she was so young, they couldn't do all that surgery to her at one time. So they was like, we're going to do this, let her heal, and then when she heals, we're going to reattach the two ends of the intestine, and we're going to put it back inside her body. So her head doctor, which was also the surgeon that was going to do the procedure, was like, well, what do you want to do, Mom? And I'm like, do whatever you got to do to save my baby. Like, but of course I couldn't make that decision on my own. So at that time, my husband was still going to work. So, because, we still had my son at home. We still had to live life. So he was at work. So I called him at work and I explained the situation. I told him exactly what they told me, what was going on with her, what they had to do to correct it, and, like, what do we want to do moving forward. So he was just like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I'm down to do the surgery because it's going to save her. So, of course, we didn't want to see our baby like that. But it was just like, if it'll keep her alive, then do it. So he was like, all right, go ahead, give them the green light, call me back if anything, let me know, whatever. So I let the doctors know, like, hey, we're going to go through with the surgery or whatever. So the surgeon, she was already scrubbed up, suited and booted, had on her PPE and everything, like, and she was like, okay, I'm going to go have a conversation with the pulmonologist, her cardiologist, and the rest of her team, just to basically get their suggestions on, like, just let them know, like, hey, this is what we're going to do, like, get whatever suggestions or recommendations from them and move forward. So I'm like, great, all right, perfect. So I get on the phone, I call my husband, and I'm just updating him, like, they're going to go through it and stuff like that. I'm going to keep you posted. So in the midst of this conversation with my husband, the surgeon comes back in the room. So she's like, excuse me, Ms. Murphy, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to need you to go off the phone. I have to have another conversation with you. So I'm like, all right, no problem. Tell my husband I'll call him back, let him know, keep him posted or whatever. And that they wanted to have a conversation. But the way that lady entered back in the room, like, her whole demeanor had changed, and, like, my whole heart dropped when she was like, we got to have a conversation. So I'm like, okay, well, what is it? Like, what is it now? Like, and she's like, well, I just had a conversation with a cardiologist, and it's her suggestion and high recommendation that we do not go through with the procedure. And I'm just like, why not? Like, this is what's going to save her. Like, why not? And they're like, well, they've been carefully monitoring her heart and things like that with the pulmonary hypertension. And it's just at this point where her heart is not strong enough to take the anesthesia. They like, if you go through with the surgery and we apply anesthesia, she's not even going to make it past anesthesia to even get to the surgery. She's going to go into cardiac arrest and you're going to lose your baby today. So now I'm like, I'm in a state of shock. I'm distraught. I'm not understanding. Like, I'm in denial. Like, I'm just like, fuck you mean? Like, I've been feeling like I've been running this marathon since she's been born, just making sure that I'm trying to make the best decisions for her health and her life and to sustain her life. And I'm just like, now I'm at a point where my hands are tied. Everybody's hands are tied. So I'm like, what does that mean for my baby? Like, so they like, well, You have two options. You could try to go through with the procedure, but I'm letting you know right now you're going to lose your baby today. Or I could also offer you that we place her into palliative care, where we just basically make her as comfortable as possible until she does transition. And I'm like, transitioning, like when she passes away. So I'm like, there's no other way around this. Like, they're like, sadly, no. So now we back at this point where it's like, all right, we got to have that conversation about what we're going to do moving forward with Chelsea. So I'm just like, okay. I completely break down. Like, when she told me that, I break down, I faint, I pass out. I wake up to them picking me up off the floor, honey. Because I'm like in such disbelief, like, this is happening. Like, I never been in a situation, like I said, I had my first child and I brought him home. He was healthy, he was fine, living and thriving to this day. So it's just like, I've never been in a situation where I had a special needs kid, and then now I'm at a point where we at the end of the child's life already, like 6 weeks in, like at this point she was like 5 weeks. So I'm just like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do? So I'm just like, I literally prayed. I just prayed, and I'm just like, you know what? I've did everything that I wanted to do as far as like, you know, my selfishness and wanting to keep my baby here, but clearly she's not doing well. So it's just like, all right, just make her as comfortable as you can. So it was at that point like I was just like, can I hold my baby? Because I haven't held her in weeks because of the COVID and her being in Lincoln and having, you know, them having her isolated. I'm like, can I just hold her? So this was that day when they're like, you can't do the surgery. Like, so you see me, I'm just like, I'm just so distraught. Like, I'm holding her and I'm talking to her and I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Like, mommy tried her best. Like, I've made decisions that it was so hard to make and stuff like that just so you could be better. So I'm just like, oh man, like, I'm just like a bowl of mess. Like I said, when my daughter actually did pass, I did not do the whole breaking down and all that. And people thought I was going to go crazy and all that stuff. But it was like, I had did all that this day. Like, I had processed her passing this day, like fainting, doing all that. Like, so I was just like, okay, I just need to make as many memories as I can with my baby and just spend as much time with her as I can before she goes, because we don't know when she gonna go. So for a little while, like I said, she was like around 5 weeks when this happened. She didn't pass until she was like literally the day after she turned 7 weeks. And so she was good for a little while, like as good as she could be. Like, she was she lingered. She kept going into this state of lingering. And I'm like, okay, I feel like that's God trying to buy us some time. So we would do like little foot molds, little handprint things, all types of stuff just to make memories with her. Like, and these are the type of things that they do, like usually like when your baby's passing. So I was just like, okay, this is it. Let me just be here as much as I can. So this is my mom and my husband. They had came and like, I mean, I'm still in denial about it. Of course, I'm still praying and having hope that things change. And, you know, I'm like, oh, I got the last say so and things like that. But I'm just like coming to terms with like, okay, more than likely you're going to lose your baby, which is like the hardest thing ever. They started letting us hold her more and all that types of stuff. Like, so, like I said, we were just spending time with her and stuff like that. And like I said, it's this period that she goes into like this state of lingering for like a week. And it wasn't okay, but like she wasn't getting worse, but she wasn't getting better either. She was just where she was at. Every day they would check on her, just like no change, no change. So I'm like, I'll take no change over her deteriorating. Like, you know, at least that means we still got more time with her. But then, of course, things take another turn for worse, and I'm just like, Lord, I don't know how much more of this I could take. Like, so they call me one day and they're like, Mom, you need to get to the hospital. Chelsea, pretty much, she just started bleeding through her catheter. So I'm just like, fuck you mean? Like, so we get there and her urine bag is like full of blood. And I'm like, oh my God, like, Jesus Christ. And then that's when she started to deteriorate again. Like, and this was literally the week before she actually passed away. But come back for part 9. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to get this together, get it out, but it is a truly long story. So come back for part 9. I mean part 8. No, 8. Part 8 of how my baby passed away at 7 weeks old. So, yeah, she started bleeding into her catheter, and it was just like, okay, there's some level of injury, but because they placed her into palliative care, it's like they're no longer doing like the extra tests and stuff like that to try to figure things out anymore. They just want to keep her comfortable. So, viewer's discretion advised. So, of course, we rushed to the hospital, get there when they called us, and this is what we see. Her urine bag went from urine to blood. So, as you can still see, it's still some urine, but for the most part, she had some level of injury. Like I said, because she was in palliative care, it's like we're not going to do all this extensive stuff to try to figure out what's going on. Like, we know baby's passing, so we want to keep her as comfortable as possible. At this point, to accommodate us a little bit better, they took her out the small bed and put her in a big regular size bed so that we could lay with her, just cuddle with her and stuff like that. We often didn't do it. I didn't do it because I was a big bag, and I was like, I didn't want to do anything to like move her, irritate her, anything. My husband would get in the bed with her, but I was just like, I don't want to do it. So this was literally the week of her passing. Like, I think it was like maybe that Tuesday. So we started telling everybody, like, listen, she's taking a turn for the worse. If you want to see her and spend time with her, y'all need to get here as soon as possible because we don't know how long she got. Her levels, her heart rate, oxygen, everything will constantly fluctuate, like up and down, up and down, up and down. We didn't know that. Every other day we thought she was passing. But then she'll bring her levels back up, and it was just like, okay, what's going on? Like, literally, the day before she passed, they come calling me 3 a.m. in the morning. And, because she passed on a Friday, so it was Thursday morning, 3 a.m. They come calling me, they was like, Miss Murphy, Chelsea's heart rate has dropped down to 48, and it's kind of been lingering around that area for a while, so we're not saying that she's passing right now. We don't know what's going on with her, but we need y'all to get to the hospital right now. So me and my husband, we fly back to the hospital because I'm like, if this is it, I want to be there with my baby. Like, now, we was dealing with financial restraints and things like that. We didn't really have people. I wasn't really reaching out for support or anything. I was just dealing with my situation on my own. I didn't really have too much connection with my family. Like, a lot of people I had already cut off. And like I said, during this whole stint with my baby going through it, like, I didn't have support. So it was just like, I'm not reaching out to nobody. Fuck y'all. So 3 a.m., we're on the train on our way to Montefiore. So it took us about maybe an hour to get there because the train slowed down after 12. And we didn't have money to take an Uber. So by the time we get there, I rush in her room and I look directly at her monitor. Like, that became like my routine. Like, I come in, I don't even look at the baby no more. I just look at her, like, her monitor, and I'm like, okay, let me look at her levels. I look at her monitor. Old girl is back up to 98% in her oxygen. And I'm looking at the doctors, I'm like, what kind of fucking sick joke is y'all playing on me? They're like, Mom, I know we called you. She was literally at this state for like 3 hours, like just around 48, and just staying there, like, and if anything, it was dropping. So they like, we don't know what's going on, we don't know how. And because she into palliative care, they stopped like giving her like crisis intervention. So like sometimes she would pretty much go into crisis and flatline, and they would bring her back. They'll bag her and like have to give her more oxygen, and then like the machine will do its job or whatever. But they stopped doing that. So they was just like, all right, as her heart and oxygen decrease, we just gonna let it. So they was like, we did not help her. We didn't give her no crisis intervention. She's doing all this on her own. So I'm like, even at my baby's sickest point, she was strong. She was her strongest. So I'm just looking at her. I'm like, little girl, if you just wanted us here, that's what you have to say. You ain't got to scare the shit out of me like that. And she was relatively okay for the rest of that day. Later on that day, so we wound up staying with her for a little bit. Then we went back home to get some sleep, and then we came back later on that morning, like around 10, because my husband's mother, her paternal grandmother, had finally come to see her. And she's a West Indian lady, and she was just so hopeful, and I'm just like, you need to say your goodbyes, like, and she's like, oh, don't say that, like, don't give up. And my husband kind of blacked on her, like, she's not giving up, like, this is what's happening, like. So she was just so, don't get me wrong, I'm very faithful and I'm very spiritual as well, but it's just like, I can't deny what I'm seeing in front of my face. Like, my baby is going. So that was literally February 17th, which was her birthday, her grandmother's birthday. So she came and she was spent time with her, and I actually let, because her grandmother was like such in denial about it, I let her stay in the room while the doctor was talking to us. I was like, you know, is it your opinion that she has entered active passing? And the doctor was like, yeah, she's passing, like, you know, so it's just a matter of time. It seemed like she's still fighting and she's trying, but, you know, she's passing. So I'm like, okay. Because I'm like, I just need you to hear this, like, from a medical professional. Like, I'm not giving up on my baby. It's just, this is what it is. This is the end of her road. Like, she can't fight anymore. Like, her little body has been ravaged with shit since 9 days old. And here we are. It's just like, it's nothing that I could do but pray for her. And every day I would pray over my baby. But, the day before she passed, like, I would usually pray that God just give her strength, make her better, and stuff like that. But this day it was just like, I just came to this level of acceptance. And my prayer was different. And usually I would wait till everybody leave the room and I would just pray just me and her. But I didn't care. I just prayed out loud and I'm just like, God, make her transition as painless and as peaceful as possible. Like, and just, I know she's a baby, but let her know that we loved her and we tried. And it's like, God gave me every little thing that I needed before she went. Like, just the little things that I would ask for. And the next day, February 18th, at 8:20 in the morning, I got a call that Chelsea had passed away. So I was immediately upset. Because I told him, like, if anything changes, let me know. Because we ended up going home the night before. Because I was just like, something in my spirit was just telling me, like, it's okay, go home. Go home and get rest. So that's what I did. And I slept so good that night. Like, that's the first night I believe, like, that I remember, like, that I actually slept and just, like, slept, like, with peace. And like I said, I woke up to my phone ringing and they was like, well, and this was like, I want to say this was like 8:35 that they called me in the morning. They was like, well, about 15 minutes ago, Chelsea passed away. And like, I'm like, what? Like, why didn't you guys call me? I told y'all to call me and stuff like that. But it was this doctor that also worked, because she had like a very big team of people working with her. And it was this doctor, Dr. Norris. And I know nobody really told me or like confirmed or denied, but I know it was Dr. Norris that made that call. Like, don't call her. Don't call her. Because she just knew I couldn't take that. Like, I wouldn't be able to watch my baby take her last breath. Like, I would have been no good. So after like the initial anger, I'm like, you're not angry. Like, I was like, I just had this sense of calm just come over me. And I was like, you know, I went into my mom's room because I was still living with my mom. Me and my husband was living with my mom at this point. And I'm like, Chelsea passed away. I need to go to the hospital. I need you to keep Liam. And I was just like so calm. I woke my husband up and I'm like, we need to get to the hospital. She passed away. So I was so calm. Like, even when I got to the hospital, like, visiting hours wasn't until like the afternoon. The security guard, he didn't know me because this was the morning time. Like, very early morning. So I wasn't used to getting there that early in the morning. I would usually get there like 10, 11 o'clock. Like, I would usually deal with my son first, get him lunch, get him breakfast and stuff, and get him together. And then head to the hospital. So the security guard, he didn't know me. So he like, oh, it's early. I was like, listen, mister, I just got a call. My daughter passed away. I need to get upstairs. And he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, and he like literally escorted me and my husband upstairs. And he was like, God bless you. Like, I'm so sorry. And I was just like, it was like I said, it's like this trance I was in, like, but I was like peaceful. And the only thing I asked the hospital, because I'm like, she's been plugged up to tubes and all types of shit. As she got worse, like, it's just like so many more machines and everything. Like, she had so many machines that they would have to bring the machines outside her room because there was no more space. And this was the day my baby passed. Like, you can see, like, I'm like completely out of it. Like, I'm just, my husband had put on some baby music and I was just like, I know I was still in shock, but I was just like in robot mode, like, because I could not believe my baby was gone. Like, all this time, all this fight, all this everything, and it was like, she's gone. So that is the story, more or less, of how I lost my baby at 7 weeks old. Thank you for watching. Long live Chelsea.